welcome to this week's episode of Silent Cities. I'm Alexander, and today, on quite a mild winter's day, I'm in Florence War Cemetery in Tuscany, Italy, where the Commonwealth War Graves Commission commemorates 1,600 casualties of the Second World War. Most of the 1,600 casualties who are buried here died in heavy fighting between June and September 1944, when the Allies were fighting their way through the German defensive lines to take mainland Italy. As you can see behind me, the countryside is hilly. Of course, you think of Florence, you think of Tuscany, you think of vineyards, you think of olives. And the New Zealanders called these hills, this countryside, Tiger Country. Tiger as in the Tiger tanks that the Germans were using. And we're actually going to tell you some of the stories of a couple of the New Zealand soldiers who died on their way to liberating Florence. So join us this week as we interview Alessio, our gardener here, about the work he does at the cemetery, as well as telling you just some of the stories of the 1,600 casualties we commemorate here.
Buongiorno, io sono Alessio Tanelli, sono il capogiardiniere del cimitero del Commonwealth di Firenze. Il cimitero del Commonwealth di Firenze ha un'ampiezza di circa 3 ettari e ci sono sepolte più di 1.600 caduti. Siamo nel periodo invernale, quindi molte fioriture non ci sono, molte piante sono appunto cadute in letargo. Infatti i periodi migliori sono aprile, maggio per appunto godersi tutte le fioriture, però comunque sia si vede che la commissione ci tiene molto ad avere degli standard elevati sull'orticultura e sulla manutenzione ancora di questi siti. Negli ultimi anni abbiamo anche fatto dei progetti sui boschetti o anche su delle bordure per ricreare un po' quell'ambiente inglese appunto di provenienza appunto di questi caduti. Abbiamo progettato dei boschetti, delle bordure miste inglesi e poi abbiamo fatto fuori delle aree un po' più particolari per incentivare appunto gli insetti utili e tutti gli animali utili a causa anche di questo cambiamento climatico, insomma, che incombe, quindi insomma stiamo sempre cercando di essere un po' più green e di aiutare appunto quello che è il nostro pianeta e la nostra natura. Fortunatamente dopo il Covid c'è stata anche una ripresa appunto delle visite, dei visitatori. La commissione ancora spende molto delle energie che ha per commemorare, per dare il giusto tributo a questi ragazzi.
There are over 240 casualties from New Zealand alone in this cemetery, and most of them died in the heavy fighting in July and August 1944, when the New Zealanders had been tasked with breaking the German defensive line to the south of Florence. And I have here a casualty, Trooper Howard, who died in the heaviest of that fighting on the 30th of July 1944. He was from the New Zealand Armoured Corps. He was aged 26, and he died during the Battle of San Michele. The New Zealanders had been to Cassino, they'd fought in that battle, and they called the Battle of San Michele on the hills about 20-30 miles south of Florence their Little Cassino. Another fight to the death, and the Germans defended that line. That was the final line before the Allies could reach Florence. And Trooper Howard unfortunately died when his tank was hit on the 30th of July. And now I'm going to read an extract from the official history of the New Zealand campaign in 1939-1945, and I'm going to tell you how Trooper Howard died. This is the morning of the 30th of July 1944. From mid-morning, poor little San Michele seemed to be the target for all the hate the whole German army could unleash. One man wrote, heavily underlined in his diary, "Hottest spot of the war." All day Jerry did his best to push the defenders out, stabbing from the front with vicious little counterattacks, smothering the ruins with shells, bombarding village and ridge from three sides with mortars and rifle grenades. This was a day to try any nerves. Much of the shooting came from the left on the next ridge to the west, where the New Zealand tanks were parked safely, they thought, beside buildings in the lee of the village that unexpectedly came under fire from a high-velocity gun not far away in that direction, and nobody could spot just where this gun was. All the tanks in San Michele were hit and had various bits knocked off them. A Sherman from regimental headquarters, which had come up that morning, was set alight by the same elusive gun. And that's unfortunately how Trooper Francis Leonard Howard of Christchurch, New Zealand, died. But of course, he's not forgotten. They're not forgotten. We will always continue to commemorate them at the CWGC. Now, before I was telling you about the Battle of San Michele, how the New Zealanders broke their way through the German defensive line in the Battle of San Michele between the 29th and 30th of July 1944. Now, by the 3rd of August, when these two soldiers sadly lost their lives, the Germans were retreating their way through the lowlands and the cities and the suburbs on their way to Florence to bomb the bridges, other than Ponte Vecchio, the old bridge, they were bombed on either side to stop the Allies from going through. These soldiers, the New Zealanders, were making their way street by street on their way to Florence. These two troopers lost their lives on the 3rd of August. So 4 Troop is coming down from the hills. They've fought their way through San Michele, they're on their way to Florence, they're reaching the lowlands, they're going through, they have to cross a river which is in the way of reaching what at the time was the village of Scandici, and then reaching the suburbs of Florence and into the city itself. So 2nd Lieutenant G took the lead and scampered down a hill to the banks of the Vingone stream. Here he found the bridge on the road to Scandici was blown, and reported back that some reconnaissance along the bank would be needed to find a suitable crossing for the tanks. These are waiting at the top of the hill. A suitable crossing had to be found as soon as possible. That was that. No sooner had the last car arrived at the bottom of the hill than it collected a shell right through the turret and the motor, killing troopers McDowell and Pengelly. They were all pinned to the ground by machine gun fire, and other cars could not get down to rescue them, but they were saved from capture by D Company of the Maoris, who came through in the dusk and overran the enemy position. Trooper Pengelly died 3rd of August 1944, and Trooper McDowell died 3rd of August 1944. Thank you to Alessio, our gardener here, for explaining a bit more about the work that's done here at Florence War Cemetery. If you want to watch more videos, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Commonwealth War Graves. We've got a playlist there of all the latest Silent Cities episodes, so please make sure to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.